right, guys. So before we get into any videos today, I thought I would just bring this to your attention. We posted it up on our Twitter feed, but we're doing a little, Halloween weekend, little TDU special here. So for anyone interested in perhaps the membership, joining us here, if you're interested in the belt program, any of the training or things that we do here, there was an opportunity to save yourself some dough. 31% off of all the memberships. Now this is. We're keeping this to new and or members or would-be returning members. All right, so you will have to use, if you go to our website, just tradedevils.com, when you're checking out, it'll ask you for a coupon code, and you need to put it in exactly this way, is boo with the exclamation point. All right, so just something to keep in mind, just a little something. We'll do that through Sunday at midnight. So for any of you interested, just thought I'd bring that to your attention. All right, with that, let's get into the charts. All right, guys, back with you here on the 1st of November. Here's Friday early afternoon, and by the time I got done with the first one, I came back here and Binance Coin had blown away the tally. So this was your top choice today. Interesting, right? Now I had posted this up in the crypto room under alts the other day just to see if any of you guys caught this, and we'll get to that in a second. But we've been over this a few times. Much like Bitcoin, here's our low. Not beautiful impulse off the low. Does look like a pretty simple, all right, we had truncated C here. Yeah, I know it's not ideal. It looks like that's decent here. It's not quite perfect symmetry. See, ideally, you'd want to see something more precise here. So if that's correctly identified as our B here with a little truncation, so for A, B, C, kind of in no man's land there. Now, we do have the conditions that would warrant to look at it in log scale. All right, we're well more than 3x the range. So here, that would put us right at the 618. Worth noting. And then just looking at our range from the low to the high. Now, in log scale, this would be a front run on the 50. Take it out of log scale and we go deeper. And you'll note here I've got the 707 on here. It's just the square root of 50. Often you'll see that, right? It's something to check. If you're just kind of in this no man's land between the 65 and the 786, that's one to check. I think it's more and more algos are using that because the golden zone is so well known now. So if I get that right on there, it's damn near to the tick. It looks like it breaks it by a tick, the 707. But coming off of that, we get just this beautiful. Well, here, let's go down and look at it. So we've got a contender here for the 2. Nothing more. And the one point of concern here is we don't get a traditional A, B. You'd like that to be a bit higher. So you got to be cautious about, there is an alternate here. Now note it is the 50 to the tick, right? So if this is A, B, and digging your C out of there, it is interesting that we get right to the 50, and it's literally to the tick. And then here's your first target. There's second. So you can kind of work your way into understanding how we end up down here. Longer target. Now this, it's kind of as I was showing you in the other video. I mean, yeah, you could use a standard channel on this. Clean this up a little bit. This looks like another example where it's an ideal scenario for a regression channel where I can just get all of that in from high to low. Yeah, right, so if you want to extend those, as I often will do, so I can see when we break here. So we stay contained and through the entire trend. Now we've had this little pop here, and we've had a little test from the other side. So you have the contender here now to suggest that this trend is over, and now we're just getting started here. So with that, I'll do it this way. I'll go take the extension off. Okay, so let's now, I'm on an 8-hour here. Let's go look at this. So contender here for our second. Let's try the 3-hour here. I think that's what I was looking at. All right, so let's clear some of this stuff up so we don't get confused about what's what. And then let me zoom in here a little bit. So this is what I was posting the other day in the room. So some of you, I was kind of curious if you guys had seen this. Right, you got to look for them. So here, I think the other day we had looked at this as a contender for a leading diagonal here. You can see this, we get the overlap here. So you're trading this as an ABC, 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 ABC. It looks like we're done here. And look how the median lines capture this just beautifully. But if you check this pivot, what we have here is a perfect, I mean perfect golden corner. All right, golden corner pocket right there. So coming out of the golden zone here, well, here's your 80% being realized, and we get this little volatility. Interesting, right? As we hover, you'll often see that if it gets through, it's a back to recheck, and then we go on to make the upper parallel here, which we get to the tick on this move. Now it looks like we're starting to correct here, so you could certainly consider this the ABC going in here to give us the 5, and if we. So from here already to first, we're kind of in between. So then I would start looking for some alternate price projections, just length of the 1 through the 3, since we have a diagonal. All right, so here's the 100 right there, which is what you'd be looking for. So you've got a reasonable contender here for a pivot. Looks like we're just getting started here. This is not uncommon for a retrace here back to the A wave. Pardon me, for the A wave to take us back to the median line. Pretty typical here. We just happen to catch, is it coincidence or not, but we're catching that structure here. Excuse me. Sorry. From the wave 3 high. Interesting. So do we have, it's hard to dig, have to see how far that's going to go, or hard to get 5 out of that. So coming down. So if we get one more kick up here, maybe we get a flat. We'll have to see how far that goes. Something along those lines would be the requirement. You'd need something like that, right? So ideally, you'd get maybe a retest back here to the 100 to these pivots. Of course, in perfect flat, you'd get it 90%. I'm not that much of a purist. I would allow for that, assuming that that's corrective. So if that's going to play, we're going to get a push higher here to challenge that pivot for the B, and then we come back down. Well, I think you've got a contender here to put the whole thing together as a completed one wave here. So coming back to our count we've got a contender 2, all right, 3, 4, and 5. Those are of course going to be much higher, but we got to place them somewhere. Get them connected over here. So let's just get those out of the way. We're not quite there yet to where we can really lock in on that, but we've got a decent contender here. Let's change this color so we don't get confused. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, into 5 into the 1 via a leading diagonal. Just standard ops. All right, if that indeed is going to play as our wave 1 high. So this kind of sets up rather nicely down here. If we can get this intersection over here now. Don't know that we're necessarily on our way here. Ideally, per an Elliott count, we'd want to see a push higher here for this B, and this splitting this parallel here with it's a 75 would be ideal. So that were to come back down, then you'd look maybe kind of looking left here for some structure to kick in here. I'd be uncomfortable myself being a buyer right here. I mean, yeah, you could make a case here that you've got a little ABC in here. So, but if you're making the assumption that and I don't know that you are, but I am making the assumption here that we've got a 1 in here. I want to buy it at the 2. And I want to take advantage of all of this structure here. So something like this really sets up rather nicely here. Now, and nothing says we have to stop here, but that would be at least the minimum conditions you'd be looking for. And you've got a few things to note here, and you'd be right back here to all of this market acceptance here, point of control. Well, of course, it's visible range, but we'd be in that neighborhood where we've got plenty of market acceptance here. And the way that this set of median lines is framing the market, that would be as far as that's a must take as far as I'm concerned. So you can set that up. Likely looks like there's going to need to be a little bit of a front run here. Now this pivot, since that's already realized here, you wouldn't be trading this the same way. That 80% is already done. So this is a question of just money management. So maximum you'd want to give it here is under the 65, right? That we'd be pushing the limits of whether or not we had a good 2 here if we're going deeper than that. Right? The shape of it, the symmetry would start to break down. So this is your, well, let's do it this way. Right, here's your buy zone right here. Take this off here. Kind of made that point, or we could just do it this way. Just get a horizontal line on that. So that's the kind of thing I might alert that, or maybe a few ticks in front of it for an alert, just so I don't miss it. So I want to know if it gets there. Now, if we're just going first target here, well, there's 3.6 to 1, right? 3 to 1, kind of your minimum. Now, if we get a full third out of this and we go up to our target up here, that's our shorthand for a 1618. Well, now we're looking at 7.8 to 1, 7.7 to 1 in that neighborhood. So well, there's a decent looking setup here. But first thing we got to do is we got to get, well, you'd like this to hold here and pop up, and for that B wave, if it's going to play as a flat, which is a little early to make that call, but if we're going to challenge this pivot, you'd want to see that come up here, fail, and then come back down. Now, based on how, what Bitcoin's doing and what happens over the weekend, again, it's a little early to lay out that roadmap here, because this is what do we have here? We're just going sideways. We just got chop. And it's kind of the same thing. You can always, always look left, right? What are we doing here? So we've got a prior pivot here. So we're just kind of in this potentially, right, prior resistance. Now it's support. So where are we? We're just kind of, and look what we're doing. We're just dancing on the median line. So until this gives us a bit more of a tell as to the what the market's going to reveal here, I wouldn't be a buyer here or a seller. I'm just kind of watching here. It's not, if you're thinking Elliott, right? It's not a 2, right? You'd need a little more complexity in that. So what would be your alternate? Well, this already, the shape of this is really pretty solid to complete the diagonal, and you can dig the 5 out of that, and then we get a slightly higher high here. I would just be watching here. Now, if it takes off and does that, well, you miss it. Well, welcome to trading. You're gonna miss many. So I wouldn't let that hang you up, and I wouldn't FOMO into it. Just let it go, right? So we'll reevaluate, relabel if necessary, and then wait for the next retracement, assuming you're a bull. Well, it's pretty straightforward here. Not really tradable at the moment, but certainly one to have on your watch list, which I think was the point of why you guys were curious today. But the golden corner here was gorgeous. All right, guys. These are short today, so I'll have time for one more. Okay, back to you.